2026. What would you, as a center, would have loved to be in place to ensure, fairness and transparency?
Well, first of all, we would say that President Barrow should not seek a third term. And we have made a statement to that effect.
Yes.
That it is important that we do not have anyone serve as president of this country ever again since the removal of the
But the clear answer to that, even from non-NPP supporters, is that there is no provision in the constitution which bar him or any other person from going for more than 2 terms. So yeah, on what aspects are you coming from? Are you saying morally? Because you cannot be arguing legally.
Yes. So, Cham, we cannot ever forget our history and experience. Because this constitution today that somebody would defend, Barrow's third term bid was the constitution, or is the constitution that we had all, and we are still advocating that it is unfit for purpose. And so morally, as you said, politically as well, it is not an argument to want to use 1997 to justify a third term for the incumbent.
Then let's have the 2024 then, if you don't want us to use 1997.
No, but why don't we have a new constitution until now? It is simply because of the failure of this government to make sure that Gambia has a new constitution. An objective that Mr. Barrow had set for himself in his 2016 manifesto and the coalition MOU. But they have failed to make sure we have a new constitution since then. And so in that failure, they cannot now come around to want to say the 1997 constitution did not stop this. Right. So for me, I'm not discussing about the 1997 constitution. But as a center, we are saying, given our history, our experience, given the commitments made by our political leaders, including Mr. Barrow, all right, and the desires of Gambians, no person should serve for more than 10 years again. And having served for 10 years, by 2026, Mr. Barrow should take honesty and courage and patriotism to step down and, so that his party look for another candidate and they continue.
You have heard what he said about it, that he had considered that not to run, but because of the interest of his party, he's now decided he will run.
Yeah, which is a very unfortunate statement for anyone to say. Your party is your party. Political parties are required by the constitution, to seek this thing, a political office. All right, but political parties are not to be sustained, by self-perpetuation of one person or to, exist at the expense of the country. All right. So when he said that, therefore, it means you are prioritizing your political party over national interests. You are trying to, take the life of the country as a resource to sustain your party. All right. Which I think is pretty dishonest, and it's a very unfortunate thing for him to say, or for anyone to argue on that score. So again, as a center, we are saying that Mr. Barrow should not seek a third term, and as a center, we will campaign for that. All right. Now, that aside, the rest of it, we still have the election bill is still a bill.
Yeah, still ongoing.
All right.
Been discussed. Yeah.
Another unfortunate situation. By now, we should have had an election act which had guaranteed and already mechanisms put in place for diaspora voting. All right, which would have taken out attestations, which would have strengthened the IEC, to be more effective, more competent, more transparent, which would have put all safeguards to prevent abuse of incumbency, using public resources for any political party or candidates, campaigning. You would have seen um, you know, uh, a political environment in which, insults and other malpractices are being addressed. All right. So unfortunately, we do not have that kind of law, election law yet. Therefore, undermining still the playing field, which we have been dealing with not just since 1996 when the elections decree was created, but way back since independence.
Yeah.
These malpractices have always been with us. So we really detest that, and going towards 2026 is concerning because we still don't have a new electoral law, and the existing one is hugely inadequate. And this is not my opinion, Cham. I'm sure you remember GOFA,
Yeah.
Gambia Opposition for Electoral Reforms.
Election reforms.
So that in 2012 probably, or 2015, they came together. I mean, the main parties at the time, UDP, DOI, GDC, I think GMC and NRP and PPP, put down 12 or 14 proposals. And all of the issues we are dealing with today were addressed there.
Addressing that one.
But again, all these parties eventually 2017 came to be in the parliament and the executive.
And they couldn't do
and they failed to do this, especially when we even had Solo Sunday rise up with a banner for electoral reforms. This is why at his burial funeral, I said all the coalition leaders betrayed Solo Sunday. By now, we should have had an election law which we could have even, affectionately named the Solo Sunday law. But they all failed in the parliament and in the executive.
So they had the opportunity to do exactly what they have been agitating for on the Jammeh.
Yeah, but they failed to
but
do
they blew the opportunity.
Yeah. So one of
is it because they want to use the same laws to their advantage now?
Well, that is the only conclusion we can arrive at. That at the end of the day, they realize that this law, as it is, benefits them. So I mean,
they're no on that account, they are not better than Jammeh.
They are not better than Jammeh. And even when civil society took action to address some of those problems, because you remember, Gambia participated, went to court against the attestation in 2021 election. It was 2021 election, and the court ruled that it is unlawful
in the case of Banjul.
But it is there. And again, another Gambian, I think Coach Pasamaja was part of it, took the issue of the diaspora voting to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled. Now, these are points in their 12-point or 14-point demand in their GOVA, proposal in 2015, which they submitted to Jammeh, to the IEC, to the UN, to ECOWAS, and to Jesse Jackson. Right? But they did not do so. And now we got to this point. I mean, it's scandalous. So 2026, we may go into it with a lot of still with this same bad law, and but also of course, it's all part of it. The IC as an institution, but also the incumbency. How do we prevent abuse of incumbency?
But the government may gone, but they have another format called the IPC.
Yeah.
One would have thought that they would have continued to propagate for this.
Again, they created the IPC, Inter-Party Committee, right? And if you look at the memorandum of the Inter-Party Committee, again, it talked about, how to create a level playing field, how to create not just a level playing field in terms of laws and institutions, to prevent electoral malpractices, but it even talked about decent politics, that, there should be decent politics. All right. And so it's sad that the Inter-Party Committee, which should have been a very instrumental body to cleanse this politics of lies and insults, this polarization and all of this intolerance that is in our politics, but unfortunately the Inter-Party Committee has become ineffective. Yes, and which is really sad. Yeah, which is, and again, Cham, it speaks to the whole thing. Like at the end of the day, what is the matter with us that we cannot manage ourselves as a people? All right, we cannot say it is we don't have the knowledge, or we don't have the skills, or we don't have the tools, or the resources, or we don't have the expertise, the experience. We've lived this thing. So our leaders must have, take responsibility, must play that leadership role to see how do we bring about transformation in every aspect of our society. But here we are, more polarized politically today than ever. With all sorts of violence. But if you look at it, in the political discourse,